All right, Chad Wilson, All Eyes DB Camp. Today we're going to talk about stance, okay? I get a lot of questions about stance, especially from new guys, and so here are some guidelines for you. First of all, you've got to find yourself, and you got to get into a comfortable position. But if you're brand new, there are three things you got to remember when you are getting into your stance. The first is feet shoulder width apart. Shoulder width apart. When you have your feet shoulder width apart, you're underneath your hips, and that's where your power is. So when your feet are underneath your hips, you can generate power when you got to move left or right, or even if you're pushing back out of your stance. So the number one thing is feet right under you, shoulder width apart. Okay, you don't want to have them too wide. If your feet are too wide, if you got to go left or right, you're going to have to gather under and then push, or you're going to have to take a false step to push. All right, you want to have your feet right directly underneath you, shoulder width apart. The next thing is having proper knee bend. You can't be in here like this with your hips up high and your knees not bent, because the first thing that's going to happen when you have to move is your knees are going to bend anyway. All right, your knees are going to bend anyway. So if you're up here like this is wasted movement when it's time for you to move. You don't want to have to be straight leg, then bend, then push, or straight leg, bend, and push back or forward, or whatever it is you're trying to do. So feet underneath us, shoulder width apart, and the proper knee bend. And the third thing you're going to need now is to have have yourself in the proper position up top. You can't be hunchback, okay? Can't be hunchback. Got to have your chest out, okay? Chest out. All right, feet underneath you, proper knee bend, and your chest is out. No hunchbacks, none of this, okay? You don't have any power moving like this, and you certainly can't strike the way you want to with any power if you've got a hunch back. Chest out, and we can strike, we can move with power when we've got our chest out. The final thing is, what do I do with my hands, okay? Some guys want to have the hands up. Some guys want to have the hands down. I'm not a stickler for either one. It's to your comfort level. I will say this, if you have the habit of dropping your hands at the line of scrimmage, it's better for you to start with them down. Start with them down. If your hands want to go down when you start off, let's start off with them down. Hopefully now when you push, the hands will go up. Instead of having them up, they go down, then they got to come back up. If you keep dropping your hands, start with them down and then push. All right? So, you've got them all. Let's go through all the steps, okay? And here's a final thing. This is how you know to get yourself in a proper stance. If you're squatting, okay, if you're now in a point where you're lifting weights and you're squatting, whatever you do in a squat rack is what you're going to do when you get into your stance. So let's say you have that weight on your back in the squat rack. You have it here. You're going to have your chest out, okay? You're going to have your feet shoulder width apart. No one gets in a squat rack and puts their feet wide like this, okay? You have the bar across your back, your shoulder width apart, you squat down, and then you drop your hands. There's your stance. If you're trying to find a proper way to get in your stance, do that, okay? Pretend you're in the squat rack. What you would do in that squat rack, when you go down, when you get down there to that bottom, drop your hands, or you can have your hands here. Either way, all right? Hey, if you like this video, hit like, and then also subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll be notified whenever I release any more videos, whether that's on football technique, defensive back drills, or recruiting. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like this video. And while I was doing this, you might have noticed the heat on my feet. These are the Adidas Adizeros 8.0s, and this segment is sponsored by Adidas. Gotta have that heat on your feet. Look at that. All Eyes DB Camp. Consistency breeds results.